Hello and welcome back to the New York Stock Exchange. I am Jon Najarian, and it is my great pleasure to introduce you to somebody who you really need to know more about, especially about the company, Francis Bellido. Francis, great to have you here from Quantum Emotion, sir.
Honor for me to be with you here for a few moments.
You guys have technology that is absolutely changing the world, and it certainly will protect the world. But before we get into that, let's get into your background just a little bit.
Yes.
How did you come to be the president of Quantum Emotion?
It's a question that I never had an answer yet. But originally, I'm a scientist. I have a PhD in molecular, pharmacology. Spend a lot of time. I'm originally from Switzerland. I've been now in North America for over 30 years. The U.S., lived in the U.S. also, now in Canada. Spending most of my life developing technologies, first on healthcare, but more recently, and it was actually in the middle of the COVID, I was always interested actually because I did a lot of modelization, scientific modelization. So always was interested in IT and cybersecurity. If you remember, during COVID was becoming a huge headache every day.
Yeah.
There was actually a hack, and not only the little guys, actually they were hacking government, big institution, etc.
True.
And I saw that, because I have a lot of friends that are actually in cybersecurity, that the technology that we had to defend ourselves were not really working, okay? So I came across, a technology that was developed in the University of Sherbrooke, that they put it actually at the time, they put it actually in a public shell, in Canada we have a lot of ex-mining companies, and shells that are phantom shells, but they didn't do much with the technology. So when I saw that, I started connected the dot. I thought, ooh, this is fantastic when you understand the foundation, because a lot of times, when you look, and I'm trying to simplify here for the public, but hackers, cyber criminals, they're looking for patterns. Okay, so they, always a pattern, it could be a pattern of behavior, like when you choose your password, you choose maybe your girlfriend passport, your kid, the name
Damn
of
it,
your
you've given my secret.
This is a pattern. Yes, exactly. And they know that. And it's easy for them if they want actually finding patterns, like that. There's also in the architecture of your defense system can also find patterns. Mistakes tend to be patterns, because they're not actually, randomly mistakes, And probably the most damageable, it's actually, finding patterns at the level of encryption. The encryption is pervasive, in all the cybersecurity. It's the blood actually of cybersecurity. So, and that's where the most damageable, attacks can go. Today, we rely on sophisticated, encryption system like RSA, etc. Even this one can maybe not resist even to attacks of sophisticated, cyber criminals. Because the idea that we have still in the public is that the cyber criminal is the teenager, working on his computer in the basement of his parents' house, But that's not the case anymore.
It's more sophisticated
Way
than that.
more sophisticated. You have even countries that actually, the rogue country, I would not mention them, but everybody knows them, that actually it's organized crime. And it's an industry in itself. Some countries actually have their GDP is based on cyber criminality. So you can imagine, and they have literally, and resources that are limited.
So when you see people talk about quantum computing and quantum technology, even though there's a similarity, they're two different things, right?
Two different things, just to say that quantum, so to add to what I just said in terms of threat, quantum computers, if today cybersecurity is an headache, well, when the advent of quantum computers, when they will ready, quantum computer can come at any time. It's not a matter of if anymore, but it's, when exactly. So they will be able to crack almost all our system of encryption that we have today. And this is the threat is the quantum computer. So quantum computers is actually an example of how to use actually quantum technologies. But quantum technologies have the same commonality of use based on quantum physics, okay? But there are very different applications. A quantum computer is a completely different beast. What we're doing here is quantum cybersecurity. We're using the same techniques actually that potentially fight quantum computers. You need to fight quantum by quantum.
Well, and one of the reasons for this is some of us, when you're going on the internet and you're scouting for risks and so forth and cybersecurity, one of the threats out there is Q-Day, right?
Yes.
Where they're worried that whoever gets there first, if that rogue country that you spoke of, that I won't mention who they are either, but I have a pretty strong idea.
I think so.
If that rogue country got to Q-Day first, they could basically hack anything from defense capabilities to offensive capabilities to bank accounts to Bitcoin.
They can take over almost everything, because anything that is not secure, imagine you take over and now you basically manage it, and that's when you manage. Now, I mean, as you know, I mean, I think today the best way is there are so many now movies, that you could see on Netflix and others that actually starting to have, scenarios, screenplays, based actually on that. And you'll see that you don't need, in fact, weapons. You don't need to send men. A war now will be won actually by the one. It will be won by the one who actually takes over the security of the other country.
And so how does quantum emotion then deal with that? How do you guys provide that security?
To continue what I started, actually, what quantum actually technologies allows to do for you, to fight the cyber criminals, is to create, structures that become unpredictable. Because there is a very, extraordinary, phenomenon in quantum physics, is that the quantum physics world is actually a world of probabilities. There is no deterministic in the world of physics. Unlike we living here in classical physics, or some people call it Newtonian physics of Newton, and there is always a determinism in the world we live. So you cannot create, the quality of the encryption, depends, for example, don't be too technical, on the quality of the random numbers that seed the encryption. And the more random they are, the better is the encryption. Unfortunately, today we cannot use random numbers. They are pseudo-random numbers because we use algorithm in your computer to generate these numbers. So anything is generated by an algorithm, it cannot be random by definition. So the only way to say, okay, so why don't you just get them these pure random numbers? Well, unfortunately, you cannot get it but using quantum physics. And this is how makes our difference here. We have a quantum random generator that is unique because it's based on a phenomenon like the quantum tunneling effect, electron effect, that actually, basically seamlessly integrated to electronics, and we are unique. You have 4 patents for that, so we own that space, And the most important one, completely by coincidence, a month ago, when they announced the Nobel Prize of Physics, they granted the Nobel Prize of Physics to the quantum tunnel effect. So that gave us a lot of credibility.
Sure.
Immediately. So, and among the applications, because the scientists have discovered that, so the quantum tunneling effect is everywhere in nature. Okay, that we didn't know in the past. So we the first one owning that space of cybersecurity one, and there was mentioned actually in the Nobel Prize. That's one of the applications of the quantum, electron tunnel effect is actually cybersecurity.
Well, so you guys at Quantum Emotion, the stock has been performing like crazy.
Yeah.
And you've had several big announcements lately.
Yeah.
So that'll take us ultimately to what are the products that Quantum eMotion offers, because it's not just one product.
No, actually.
The most recent news that I saw was about the data centers and securitizing the data centers so that it can't be hacked.
Yes, it's one of the many. Imagine, I mean, when you talk about it, okay, we have technology that can increase now the defense, so it applies to almost every vertical of the economy. We'll have a hard time finding, a vertical economy that doesn't need better security, better defense, okay? So yes, the applications are mind-boggling, and so we try to focus on what, obviously as a young company, a very young company, we're trying to focus on the low-hanging fruits. And what we did, 3 years ago, we were one of the first ones who was starting to see the need, for example, in blockchain cryptocurrencies. In fact, a lot of, I think, the followers probably, love cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Well, yes, it's fantastic. I'm a really very proponent for the blockchain. I think it's another type of revolution. However, you really have to focus on security, because for quantum computers and everything, it will be really a kid game, to break their encryption. So you need already to try to think and migrate, if you have a wallet or not, try to migrate toward cutting edge, defense. And one of them would be, the ultimate would be to have a layer of quantum protection. And the good news is that on Monday, we made our first wallet available to the public, and you can find them in actually Apple Store or Google Play and everything, and it's already starting. And I think there's quite a lot of success behind that.
So a Quantum eMotion wallet that securitizes the digital asset that the person puts
It's called Castle with a Q. So protected like a castle. Think Middle Age, a strong castle moat.
I know that's going to be a huge product for you guys, and it moved the stock.
And among the other products, for example, as you heard about, so that as the science progress, and we're going to need more and more data centers, and I think I read an article literally where there is no limit for the need of data centers. Are we moving with AI, with quantum technology that's coming, etc. So the security of these data centers also starting to become a huge headache. So our technology can secure all these data centers.
Right.
So this is potentially for us a huge market.
Oh yeah, because data centers get some of the highest PE, price earnings ratios, some of the highest multiples go to those data centers.
Yes.
And yet, if people knew how many of them were as vulnerable as they may be, now they're using the best cybersecurity they have right now.
Of course.
But it's not as secure as perhaps something that they need.
I think the idea is that today, for example, I would say a lot of hackers cannot still maybe break, but they're still harvesting the data to be able to, somehow, decipher the data later.
Right.
So it is a big problem. So I said that you cannot wait till quantum computers, readiness, because that will be too late.
Right.
So that's, I think, it's starting to be very aware. A lot of the people now, the leaders, starting to be aware that they need to starting to act now immediately, and particularly as you're building new data centers. It's the time actually to think about what kind of security I'm going to embed into these data centers. And now we have technologies that can not only secure what the data centers today, but already securing them for the biggest threat that represent the quantum computers.
Right, and that Q day that's out there.
The Q days will be the day where one computer, It's not something that is going to necessarily appear like one day that you wake up. I have the feeling, that the progression is going to follow exactly the progression of our computers. I still remember my first computer when I was a young man. That I bought it. It was like, remember the computer was a huge, screen, the box. And I had a memory fantastic of 32 kilobytes. I was so impressed. And as you know, the progression, it follows years, the progression. I think it will happen the same with the computer, but probably a very acceleration of this progression compared to the computers today. But one day, it means that one computer will be powerful enough to break our best encryption that we have today. And that will be the beginning of potentially, if we do nothing, an apocalypse.
As far as quantum emotion, you guys have also announced some partnerships.
Yes.
And some that you can't tell us about right now,
okay.
But are there any you can share with us, the partnerships that you've got right now?
Everybody knows, for example, let's take one, that's very public, we have partnerships, in energy, because this is another thing that we have partners, in healthcare, because digital, therapeutics is something that is extremely vulnerable to hackers, the healthcare system, and is today the number one or number second asset, the most stolen, is a patient health record, because they can also usually they get not only the health information but also financial data like security number, etc.,
Sure.
Social security number. So we have partners, in the area, but let's focus on one. Is Crown, for example, is our partner in the world of blockchain and crypto. We are a security company. We don't want it to become, because it will be too complicated. You cannot be a specialist in everything. So we wanted to stay, a security company. It's already complicated enough, and the market is already huge in itself. So we found partners that actually can, the specialists in commercialize and developing the vertical from a commercial and business development point of view. Well, we had one is Crown Networks, and they're the one who actually help us to launch, but we are the engine of security. And as I said, Monday we announced and the first wallet, and the future is extremely bright, because the real, I would say, value the blockchain is tokenization, when you'll be able to basically digitalize the value of assets.
Real world assets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
RWAs. It's huge, because all of a sudden you're not just talking about the Bitcoin being hundreds of thousands of dollars. No. A real world asset might be a building.
Absolutely.
Might be your home.
So we are going to offer, a blockchain, a whole chain actually secure by quantum technology.
Fantastic. So as far as products that are out there right now, because
we started now to be actually I think we are the first. I don't want to talk too much. We're the first company in cybersecurity, quantum cybersecurity, that's starting to generate revenue.
Right. Revenue from the wallets that are in the Google Play Store as well as Apple.
Absolutely. Just recently, it's just started. Actually, it just happens that we do this interview a couple of days just before that is available.
Fantastic. And then the data center and securing the data center.
We're working
from
hard. I cannot tell you too
hack.
much.
Okay.
But we are working on that very actively there, because I think it's an immense opportunity for us.
Uplisting plans. Presently the stock is publicly traded, and this is one of the big places that I'm sure.
Is that my new house?
Yeah, they would love to have you, Francis. Yeah. They would love to have you
here. Certainly. Look, we are a Canadian company now. Everybody knows, and I didn't divulge any secret, that as a company mature, and also with the potential that we have, I think it will be probably more, the technology and the company will deserve maybe to have an ecosystem that probably enhance actually the value of the company, and helps actually also to reach the markets, by the exposure you get. So definitely, I don't want to pronounce any name and everything, but you guys can guess, Yes, we are working on that.
Obviously, A place like this is a place, any of these exchanges
Yeah.
need security just like Jamie Dimon does at JP
absolutely.
Morgan,
Absolutely.
just like Goldman Sachs does, just like Morgan Stanley does,
Absolutely.
or Credit Suisse.
Yes.
All of these guys need so much security because that's gold behind those walls.
The Hudson Institute 2 years ago did a study, actually you can find on the internet if you're interested, about what would happen a quantum attack on the American financial system. Well, I mean, the consequences, again, it's in the report, it's not me, it's like the equivalent of several world wars. Mm-hmm. Imagine the impact.
Right.
So that makes you think, I mean, really, it's not just, I think it's not just a fad, or science fiction. It's real.
Yeah, and so is quantum emotion.
It's real too.
Thank you so much, Francis.
Very much. What a pleasure.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Folks, make sure you do check out Quantum Emotion. We're putting links up on the screen. And by the way, take a look at that chart because it's a pretty damned impressive chart as well. I'm Jon Najarian from the New York Stock Exchange.